Okay, there are drill holes on the front porch, so there's been some subterranean termite treatment. The exterior receptacle outlets are not GFCI protected, and they do not have in-use covers, bubble covers. Lawn sprinkler heads should not be closer to the structure than 12 inches. We have bushes next to the structure, and then there's some debris in there as well. This is a pier and beam foundation. These are all sprinkler control valves, and those little round guys in there and up in there, the little round guys, they're irrigation wells for shutoff valves. And this is the lawn sprinkler vacuum breaker. It's above ground. It may not meet Richardson City code. I personally like them because there's no moving parts, but it's not for me to say. Again, bushes all next to the house, debris in the crawl space. Coming around, the windows have been updated. These two screens are missing. Looks like that one's fogging, maybe that one too. These are vinyl frame, double pane vinyl frame windows. So the windows have been updated. The brickwork looks really good. We have soffit vents. This is the roof covering. And where I don't know if you can see it real good here, maybe I'll show you a little later, but where this edge flashing, this is drip edge flashing on this side, where it laps, it should lap 10 inches. I hardly ever see it, that's true, but the manufacturer recommends that they be lapped 10 inches. We also have gable vents, so that's the original venting system to the house. Now they've added wind turbines in the top, more bushes, stair-step cracks between the brick and the mortar. Beneath the southeast bedroom south window, there's a little bit of separation between the window frame and the brickwork there too. We do not have weep holes. Weep holes should have been installed from this year. Probably not very practical, but weep holes should have been installed above the fenestrations, with the brickwork in the fenestrations. Coming along here, the grading and drainage along the south wall is quite level, which should slope away from the house. Moving along here, we're on the west side of the house, coming around to the patio area, and this is where we find the backyard faucet, and this is where we find the gas entrance to the house. The meter is out towards the alley. Light fixtures should be sealed to keep moisture from penetrating in them. In-use covers. Moving on along, let's go through the garage here for a moment. Lawn sprinkler controls are inside on the garage east wall. The attic hatch should have been sealed. Probably go to that in another video. Coming on along, recommend removing the screen door between the door and the living space. And the reason being is that it encourages you to use it if it's there, and if that's used, then the other door is not. And if that door is not used, then we've compromised the fire blocking between the garage and the living space. Same thing with the cover over here. Without the cover going into the attic, we've compromised the fire blocking between the garage and the attic. Moving along, this door is hollow core, so it doesn't have the right fire blocking in it regardless. And it does not have a self-closing spring on it, and you can see from inside there's an air gap underneath the door. This is the door opener button. It should not be closer to the door threshold than 5 feet, because small hands could operate that. We've got lots of power in here. This is the only single pane frame window that I've noticed in the house, and this window is cracked and it doesn't have a screen. Now, the energy savings from a double pane wouldn't be realized because this is the garage, it's unconditioned space. So that's kind of a moot point. But it is an older window, it is a sliding window, it does have aluminum frame, it is a single pane, and one of the panes is broken and it's missing a screen. This is the Murray, and what do we have here? 125 amps. Code says 100 amps is minimum for a residence. Okay, most, and I believe Richardson's one of them, they have a personal best or a personal minimum of 150. Now this was grandfathered in as the panel was here when it was installed, but that being said, it doesn't meet current standards. The panel has been modified. The manufacturer is a big no on the manufacturer, and we have open knockouts where stray fingers can fall in there. We do not have a single main disconnect. However, we've got 6 throws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 throws will de-energize the house. That's considered a disconnect, but it's not a main principle, and that's by today's standards. One interesting thing about this is Murray's a very old panel. Basically, it's obsolete. You should budget for replacement. That being said, some of the breakers, that's a GE breaker, that's an Eaton breaker, that's a Cutler hammer breaker. So we've got, that's a Square D breaker. We've got a collage of different manufacturers' breakers in here. And the Murray manufacturer only approves of Murray circuit breakers. So this panel is obsolete. Budget for replacement. The optic sensors for the garage door, they should not be farther from the floor than 6 inches. So the optic sensors are too high. The garage door has a nice crack in here. This is a floating slab. We've got some water issues over here. We've got some water issues. Water's been coming through here. I'm going to look at that a little closer. This is a cursory. This is my first run through this place. We do not have handles inside of this door so that you could pull it up and use it manually. It does not have a manual door lock, and that's a good thing because you could accidentally cause damage to the door. It has a disconnect pull handle. This is the door. And we're sure that it's not GFCI protected. So let's zoom in here a little bit. Yeehaw. Okay, that's the electric receptacle outlet power for the door opener, and that sucker's dangling. So it should have been secured and covered and GFCI protected. What's going outside? Okay, so we got some movement on the floor over here. I'm also noticing some movement right here. We got some interior diagonal cracks. That's a shear type crack. That's a baby hatch to the attic. I have no idea. Okay, moving on along. Do we see drill holes on the patio? Drill holes on the patio. So there's been some termite treatment around the front porch and the patio. Again, bushes are too close to the house. This is a better view. Okay, let's zoom in. I believe you can see it. Anyway, that's the drip edge flashing, and it's not lapped 10 inches. Again, that's not a rare find. I'm not apologizing for it. Okay, this post over here has been ground off. It's been cut off at the sidewalk, and that could be a trip hazard. And bushes, okay. And then on this side of the garage, we have some wooden paneling. The gasket's torn. The casement should not be in direct contact with the cement. That can allow water to wick up into the casement, like it has over here. Okay, over here we got electric service. It's above grade. That's the drip loop. That's the power coming in. That's all fine, except for the weather mast. The weather mast should extend through the eave. It should come from the top of the house. It should not come from underneath the house. And so that's the electric supply conduit. And the service head or weather mast, depending on who you're talking to, it's the same thing. It should extend through the roof. And coming on along here, more siding. We have some negative drainage going back towards the house. Water heads this direction. And you can tell that the condensing unit, it's not level either. So, out by the street, we had PVC cleanouts, but on the side of the house, we've got cast iron cleanouts. This is the closed dryer vent, and the closed dryer vent has a screen on the bottom side of it, and that can catch and trap lint, and you should not have a screen. On this, I'm going to have to pull up the labeling on this to see what the SEER rating is, but this tells me this 0.5, this 5.0 it might be a little higher than what my references tell me. Okay, this soft foam on the low pressure refrigerant line is no longer acceptable. These Schrader valve caps should be anti-theft. The electric disconnect should not be located behind the unit, and it should be sealed to help prevent water infiltration into the walls. Okay, I already said that it's not level. The data plate's over here. So it's 2014, 6 years old. It's 4 ton. All right, this is the front exterior faucet. Really, it's a side exterior faucet. My gauge was reading 100 psi. I'm going to report that it's 90 psi. Regardless, it's higher than 80 psi. The water pressure is too high at the house. Sometimes when these valves have these little swells like this, some people defend these and say that there's an integral anti-siphon device inside of there. I don't know that. I do not see an anti-siphon device here. I know that. These are the vents for the crawl space. Again, the brickwork looks really well. We've got, boy, if I use my imagination, we got a little bit of stair-step cracking right here, and that's beneath the breakfast area east window on the north wall. So we got almost identical cracking on each corner of the structure. And that's really about all the cracking that is apparent at this time. Again, bushes too close to the house. Coming up to the porch, back where we saw the original drill holes.